Sounds great. Hello, everybody. Let this be a call to order of the Boston Region Metropolitan Planning Organization's UPWP Committee. So first, the notice of non-discrimination. You are invited to participate in our transportation planning process regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, veteran status, or background. So this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: web content accessibility guidelines 2.1 level AA standards and revised section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in this meeting, or if you have any technical difficulties, please contact Ibu Qureshi, who's MPO staff at iqurishi@ctps.org, or call them at 857-702-3695 or via the chat box. So the guidelines: all participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. After roll call, board members may mute and unmute themselves. Always remain muted unless actively speaking. To participate in the discussion, please select the raised hand function. Find this by clicking either on the participants button at the bottom of the screen, and a window will pop up with a raised hand button at the bottom, or the reactions button in the toolbar. The chair will then call on participants. Please raise your hand via Zoom if you would like to use an AI note taker during this meeting. If you're on the phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. And we have a new slide this meeting. So this is our newly adopted committee guidelines addendum. So board members who are not members of this committee are welcome to attend this meeting in an observer-only capacity. They will keep cameras off, microphones muted, and refrain from using Zoom reactions, hand-raising functions, and the meeting chat. The committee chair will not recognize these members during this meeting, and MPO staff may assist in the enforcement of these protocols in Zoom. Next slide, please. All right. Olivia, will you please take the roll?
Yes, starting with MassDOT.
Sam Taylor, MassDOT, here.
And City of Newton.
City of Newton, Jen Martin, filling in for David Kouzes.
Inner Core Committee, City of Somerville.
Good afternoon, Sean Bed, City of Somerville.
And Metro West Regional Collaborative, City of Framingham. Not seeing Dennis here today, so I'll move on to Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Travis Pollock, Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
And MBTA Advisory Board. Also not seeing Hannah, so we'll move on to Community Advisory Council.
Caitlin Ellis Conley for the Community Advisory Council here.
And Three Rivers Interlocal Council, Town of Norwood.
Hi, Tom O'Rourke from the Town of Norwood, representing the Trek subregion.
And City of Boston.
In the City of Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu.
Southwest Advisory Planning Committee, Town of Rentham. Not seeing Rachel, so we will move on to Town of Arlington.
Leonard Diggins, represent Arlington.
Okay, that calls the roll. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next agenda item is public comments. If any members of the public have a comment at this time, please share now. Not seeing any, but if you do have a comment later in the meeting, we'll do our best to call on you. And if you have any written comments, you should provide a copy to staff by emailing upwp@ctps.org if you are able. So our next item is an action item, which is approval of the January 8th, 2026 committee meeting minutes. Do any committee members have comments about the minutes at this time? Not seeing any. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Jen Rowe.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the January 8th meeting minutes.
Thank you. Travis.
I second that motion to approve the minutes for January 8th.
Thank you. Olivia, please call the roll.
Yes. Sam Taylor,
Sam Taylor, yes.
Jen Martin,
Jen Martin, abstain, not present.
Tom Bent,
Tom Bent, present.
Travis Pollock,
Travis Pollock, yes.
Caitlin Allen Conley,
Caitlin Allen Conley, yes.
Tom O'Rourke,
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Jen Rowe,
Jen Rowe, yes.
and Len Diggins.
Diggins, yes.
Great. Those are approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item will be the bulk of today's meeting, and that is discussion of the federal fiscal year 2027 UPWP discrete study scenarios. So Olivia will briefly present the 4 discrete study scenarios that MPO staff would put together for today's meeting. And then the group will have a chance to discuss these scenarios and then at the end vote to approve which discrete studies to include in next year's UPWP. Olivia, take it away.
Thank you. We can move on to the next slide, please. Great. Thank you. So yeah, at our last meeting about a month ago, we brought 5 discrete study ideas to this group for more of a discussion, and we as staff brought these ideas to you because we thought they were best aligned with the goals and objectives of the MPO. They aligned with our agency priorities, and we have the available resources and staff availability to carry these out over the next, or in the upcoming federal fiscal year. And today we've put together 4 different scenarios that fit within our overall budget constraint of $150,000. And these scenarios are suggestions for which studies we can program into our next work plan. I just wanted to make a few notes. First, about study M2, Transportation Network Company, or TNC, trip patterns and mobility impacts in the Boston region. This study is not included in our scenarios today, and that's because the TNC data pipeline is still kind of being established, and staff recommend waiting for that to kind of be in place before we can really scope out this study a little bit more. So that's why the TNC study is not included in our scenarios. I also wanted to note that make a note about M18, roadway pricing technical evaluation phase 2. Like we discussed at our last committee meeting, this can be done at 3 different price levels. So I just wanted to note that we've provided additional details about what this study might look like at each of those price levels. I'll explain that pretty briefly as I walk through the scenarios, but I also wanted to just put in the chat that those notes are on page 2 of the file that I just shared if you wanted to read along as I go through the scenarios as well. So what I'll do is briefly walk through each scenario, and then really we'll have the rest of the meeting to have a discussion. You can, of course, ask more questions. And when the group feels like you've come to a consensus on a scenario, we can ask for a motion to approve that scenario. And then I'll just wrap up by providing some next steps. So with that, I think we can move on to the next slide, and I can talk about the first scenario, which includes M18 roadway pricing technical evaluation phase 2 at $100,000 and L2 impact of parking supply on property values at $50,000. There are a few things I want to note about these studies. The first, M18, the roadway pricing study, this at $100,000 is kind of like the mid-tier price for this study. And it will include two areas of work that we'll do for this study, one being an iterative pricing analysis, and the second being an iterative chord-in analysis. The pricing analysis will involve a few things. First, we'll be able to build upon a discrete study that we're actually doing right now, which is the roadway pricing stakeholder analysis. So we'll be able to take the results of that study to engage our regional stakeholders on which metrics are most important to compare across different roadway pricing schemes. And we'll also be able to build upon kind of the first phase of the roadway pricing technical evaluation study that we actually just completed in 2025. As you probably know and remember, in that study, we identified a hypothetical chord-in boundary. So for this phase of the study, we would be able to explore different pricing levels using that chord-in zone. We'd also be able to elaborate on where and in which populations would experience the greatest impacts for this hypothetical roadway scenario. And we'd be able to evaluate equity impacts of the status quo, which is free road access. At the $100,000 price point, we'd also be able to do some additional chord-in analysis work. So we'd be able to study one or two different alternate chord-in zones in addition to the one that we identified in our 2025 study. And we'd also be able to analyze increased rail frequency when doing the modeling work for this study as well. I also wanted to note L2, the impact of parking supply on property values study. As we discussed as well at our last committee meeting, a lot of the work that would be involved in this study overlaps with the work that MAPC does. So our two agencies, of course, have talked and discussed this as a really good opportunity to collaborate together. So if this one were to move forward, we would collaborate together on doing this study. Next slide, please. Scenario 2 is M18 roadway pricing technical evaluation phase 2, this time at $75,000. L2 impact of parking supply on property values at $50,000, and Q4 representing the experience of limited mobility individuals phase 2 at $25,000. For the roadway pricing study in this scenario at $75,000, that's kind of the lowest price level that we would be able to conduct this study at. So it would just include the iterative pricing analysis, and we wouldn't be doing any of the additional chord-in analyses with this scenario. Okay, yes, and next slide, please. Scenario 3 includes, again, roadway pricing technical evaluation phase 2 at $75,000, impact of parking supply on property values at $40,000, and L5 opportunities for the Boston Region MPO to support transit-oriented development at $35,000. So just again, with this scenario as well, the roadway pricing study will only include the pricing analysis work. Next slide, please. The last scenario we have is simply just the roadway pricing study at the full $150,000. So at the highest level that we'd be able to price this study at, we would be doing all of the work that I just kind of already mentioned, the pricing analysis and the additional chord-in analyses. However, it would also add in a comparative analysis of roadway pricing schemes. So we would be able to evaluate one or two tolling scenarios at the corridor level to understand kind of the pros and cons of a tolling scheme versus a chord-in scheme. And we'd also be able to do a transit capacity analysis as well. So that briefly sums up the 4 scenarios. If we move on to the next slide, please. I've listed them all out here, and I figured this could be a good thing to have on screen as we move into our discussion. So please, if you have any other questions and comments you want to ask, I'm happy to turn it back to Sam to facilitate the discussion.
Thank you, Olivia.
Who would like to start? I see Caitlin and then Len. Caitlin.
Great, thank you so much. I have a question. The Community Advisory Council, obviously, we in our last meeting brought these discrete studies to the group, and we had a pretty robust conversation about all of them. I would say sort of the richest conversation was probably on roadway pricing and sort of, I think, a takeaway of feeling that quality over quantity is probably the right direction to go in. So I'm wondering one scenario that I'm not seeing here, which would be roadway pricing at 100,000 and a TOD study at 50,000. Is there a reason why that scenario does not exist here or figure here?
I think I will maybe turn it over to someone else on staff if someone else wanted to jump in to answer that question. Yeah, thanks, Rebecca.
Problem. And Caitlin, thanks for that question. When we went through these scenarios, we were trying to find combinations of studies to have some that have two and others that have three, because I know that there was interest in trying to do more than one study. On the TOD side, we were thinking about what kind of work would actually be done and thought about like if it's really around interviews and more peer research was really the focus of that. It was an effort that we felt we could do for a little bit less than kind of the range that was initially proposed. And so we fit that into a scenario that had three. And then comparing that to the parking really at a minimum, we felt like would need the 40 to 50K, just given the data component and a lot more uncertainty around kind of those data sets, where the kind of peer interview and literature review would be something that we feel, is less risk in terms of that. So we looked at reducing that down to 35 and then only include it in scenario 3. If there's interest from this committee to look at a different scenario, I think that we're certainly open to that. So if it's like we really like the technical evaluation of roadway pricing at 100, are good with only moving forward with 2 studies and really would like to see that being TOD, I think that could certainly be on the table. We were trying to come up with combinations that would bring in an option with 3 studies and then one that looked at 2. So we were trying to bring in multiple factors. And then the other factor was like thinking the partnership with MAPC on the parking piece as being a high value. And so showed that one as a 2-project scenario. But I think very open to thinking about other combinations if that's an interest.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I would just say for us, it's really, the quality over the quantity. So thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Len Diggins.
Yeah, thank you. So a few questions. So you mentioned that we'll be working with MEPC on L2, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And is MATC contributing any funds to this?
I think it would be more staff time, but I don't know if Travis or someone else wants to elaborate a little bit more, but I think that's more of how it would work as staff.
Just trying to get some money to do more studies, and I mean, I hear the quantity over quality, but all the studies, C2PS does high quality, but I know what Caitlin's getting at, so I'm just making fun, having fun, so are we thinking about doing a phase 3 meeting on the roadway pricing? I'm asking because it seems to me that it might be good to keep the conversation going past phase 2. And I'm wondering if we are thinking about doing a phase 3 at this point.
I'm going to call on Rebecca to answer both of Len's questions.
Sure. Thanks, Sam. And Len, on the first question, and I think Travis can speak a bit more into the MEPC's kind of role, but I think the 50K that we've proposed here would be for MPO staff. And so MAPC's involvement, it's something that we'll be talking about. We have a meeting actually tomorrow to talk a bit more about some of the work MAPC is doing with the discrete studies and the PL funds that are earmarked for MAPC. And so that conversation will happen tomorrow. Regarding your second question about roadway pricing, I'm not sure if it continues in the discrete study space, but I think certainly as a, hearing from the board as well as staff interest in continuing these conversations and allocating funds to be able to continue to research this work, we would plan to continue this work beyond this year, whether or not that becomes a phase 3 discrete study or becomes part of programmatic work or is funded by other means like grant funding or whatever it may be. That would still be a question. But I think the sentiment is that we would continue this work beyond the end of this fiscal year. So if this discrete study were to move forward, it wouldn't be that if we fund the 150, we're probably not going to pick up this topic again in the next year.
All right, that's good. That's good to hear. Because I applaud these scenarios. And I really applaud the effort to get to 3 studies. And I'm going to push the boundaries a bit because I have a hard time picking between scenario 2 and scenario 3, mainly because I very much like working to understand the impacts of our transportation network on people with limited mobility. At the same time, I rang the bell on the TOD, but if I had to pick between the two, I'd have to go for scenario 2. But I want both of them, and so I'm going to probe a little bit on the 75K floor on M18 because if we didn't do the equity part of that option 1, could that get us down to 50 so that we get the 25K to include the impact on limited mobility in scenario 3, and then we get 4 studies? So that's a really question about the components of the cost of the components of option 1.
MPO staff, anyone want to chime in here? Rebecca?
I think I understand what you're asking, Len, but just to confirm,
Sure.
You're asking about the last bullet point in option 1 on that second page where it says evaluate equity impacts of the status quo, the free road access. Are you asking if we were to eliminate that?
Yeah.
What would that look like?
Yeah, if we could get the 25K so that we could pay for the experience of limited mobility and pull that into scenario 3 and then get 4 studies.
Yeah, I think that last bullet was probably in terms of the level of effort we felt like we could. It wasn't something that I would say would be $25,000. And so I don't think it's going to get us the ability to cover about that study. It's not one of the higher cost elements of this particular list of items.
That's fine. Yeah, I was asking, so I wasn't saying do it. I was asking to understand, to what extent we could make it happen. We can't, then have to decide between 2 and 3. So okay, thank you. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Travis, is your hand up to discuss MAPC coordination on the parking supply study?
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to echo what Rebecca said, is that we are meeting tomorrow, and it would be staff time assistance as to how we would coordinate, but what that would be, we're still working on. So I just wanted to echo what Rebecca said, that's all.
Thank you, Travis. Also want to encourage people to monitor what's going on in the chat if you are able to. See a couple comments there, one from Rentham, who I believe that might be Rachel Benson.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to change my name. Thank you for calling that out.
All good.
I will take an opportunity to just talk. I did come, sorry for being late. I was at a tourism summit earlier, and I'm going to +1 to Len's comment because what came out of that was they had highlighted a story that came out about, somebody that was traveling to the area that had limited mobility. And, it's kind of an area of tourism, because that's kind of where that conference was, that, the state is kind of missing out on, because we did not get a good sort of level on that, a grade. So, but I do also see on, as my area and SWAP and other communities like my area, we are seeing a lot of these MBTA communities projects coming up that are directly aligned, and we do need to have a plan in place, for the long term. And it's something that me as a planner, I love to do proactive planning, into the future as opposed to reactive planning. So again, I'm having a tough time. I do see the pluses to both of those items that is needed. So yeah, anyway, thank you. And I'll change my name.
Thanks, Rachel. Tom O'Rourke, you're next.
Thanks. Actually, Len asked my question about possibility of a phase 3. But given the answer to that, I would just say that I would lean towards either the second or third scenario, try to include more studies rather than fewer.
Thank you, Tom. So noted. Let's see. Do we have any other hands at the moment? Jen Martin.
Yeah, I would chime in with a similar sentiment. I'd rather see scenario 2 or 3 with more studies if possible.
Thank you. Len and then Caitlin.
So along the lines of what Caitlin asked, so this is going to be to Rebecca. What would be concerns about combining, taking out the parking, parking supply, from both of those, take L2 out of both of those scenarios 2 and 3, or one of them, and then putting in the TOD, and the limited mobility, because you had a good rationale for it, in response to Caitlin's answer. So I'm kind of curious.
Rebecca.
Yeah, Len, I think that's certainly a possibility. So there's no limitation. And from a budget perspective, it's really the 150 is the mark that we're looking to hit. So I think that could be a scenario to consider. So it's not that we wouldn't be able to do those 2 studies along with the roadway pricing study.
All right, and no, okay. All right, thanks. You answered my question. So thank you.
Okay, Caitlin.
Okay, I'm not really sure what Len said to my comment, but I think he said the reverse of me. So I think I just want to reiterate again that we came away from our council meeting, with support for quality over quantity, and the roadway pricing study is important, and reducing the scope of it, I think, could take away from it. And we would just be supportive as a council to make sure that we have the most robust studies possible for the money that we're putting into them. These are not huge amounts of money to begin with. So thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like we have a couple different approaches starting to come together. Jen Rowe.
Yeah, thank you. I was actually curious, because as we're looking between the 100,000 value of versus 75,000 for the roadway pricing, if staff could speak a little bit to the aspect of the increased rail frequency in modeling efforts, and just curious whether is the assumption there that the modeling could include the amount of rail, assumptions around the amount of increased rail that would probably come in with the value of money that's generated out of the roadway pricing scheme. Just curious about that aspect of the study.
Rose, go ahead.
Yeah, I can jump in and speak to that. Our initial thinking around this is that, the MBTA is currently working on signal improvements and vehicle improvements. And so we would initially model what we think is potentially feasible in the future. So we're not just looking at the system now, but we're roadway pricing to go forward. in say 5 to 10 years, is the system able to maintain that? And it helps with the modeling to have that lower frequency. It makes transit more attractive. So it's not going to the point of trying to figure out which investments the money would go to. I think that's a much bigger conversation than we can have in a discrete study like this. But just looking at what is sort of semi-realistically planned for the future and accounting for that in our analysis.
Shoot, I was hoping for a different answer because then it would have been easier to because it does seem like an important component to like the analysis especially in that we'd hope to be that the system would be a bit better at the time that such a system would the roadway pricing would be deployed.
Yeah, I think we set out these scenarios with what we think we can accomplish with this money, what's in the $150,000 scenario, and something that we maybe could do is not only looking at where people are taking transit, but that real capacity piece that could help inform where more investment is needed if we're seeing more demand than can be accommodated by the system. So it's a first step in that direction of trying to think about where investment could be made with the revenue.
Great. Thank you, Rose and Jen. Len Diggins.
Yeah, so if we do meet L5, the TOD mean and the limited mobility mean, that leaves $10,000. Wait. So yes, 60 and 75, 135. So that leaves 15K, out of the 150. So that gets that could go to the roadway pricing. So that gets you to 90K. Do you think you can do nearly as much as what you do with 100K with the 90K? I know that's almost a circular question, but I guess the point is that could you do the element, the railroad element, to a sufficient degree? And I guess the other question, since I'm here, is I know there's efficiencies from doing more at once than less. So ideally we do the 150K to get. It'd be more efficient that way. But if we were to break it up, and maybe even do a phase 3, what would you recommend for breaking it up in order to get the costs down so that we could do 3 studies as I would like to see. I hope that last part wasn't too confusing.
Rebecca.
Yes, I am tracking with you, Len. I think so you're suggesting I think the 25K for Q4 and 35K for L5 and then 90,000 for roadway pricing. I think that's the scenario that you're suggesting, and what can we do for 90K versus 100? I would say just like looking at this, we talk about 1 to 2 alternate cordon zone evaluated. That probably would shift down just to 1. I don't think we'd want to even leave an open space for a second one. And so I think that's a possibility. It would just be kind of reducing the number of alternative cordon zones that we could look at.
All right. I'm happy with that. So okay, thank you.
Tegan, go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to add in one other kind of contextual point other than sort of the technical aspects of what we could add or detract from to sort of modify these amounts, just for everybody's consideration, including staff's consideration, which is that for just the way that discrete studies work right now, we go through an independent effort to develop a scope. Some of the budget towards a discrete study can go towards developing that scope. We bring it to the board for discussion and approval, then we do the work, and then we always plan to produce a report and report back to the board on those activities. So a chunk of the funding, a portion of the funding that goes towards these studies goes towards those activities and not all purely in the technical analysis. So the smaller we go, it's not only a matter of, we can't necessarily shrink down those other efforts. So that sort of cost is always going to be there, the amount of time to prepare, to produce materials, to present to the board, to write a report. So I just ask that everybody keeps that in mind too. So, and I can't quantify that right off the top of my head, like what that baseline is, but I just want us to keep it in mind. And that is not to detract from any of the suggestions going on here. It's just some additional context.
Well, AMF is saying it's about 20%. I'm just getting based on my head.
All right. Does anyone need like a brief refresher at this time, or you know, anything that, does anybody have any follow-up questions on things that may have happened earlier in the meeting that could be summarized? Or, and I also see Travis's hand.
That actually
Travis.
was my, I'm sorry, Sam, that actually was my question. Is it sounds to me like we're getting some sort of maybe modification of scenario 2 to as an option. But I'm curious, and I'm a little hesitant to put this on the spot for staff and others, as someone who's newer to the UPWB committee and maybe newer to some of the discussions that have been previously on these. Can someone just like give maybe a quick summary on like maybe why we have L2 versus L5 versus Q4, like kind of like what prompted those? I know we don't want to rehash everything, but I just wonder if a little bit of a refresher could help the conversation or this discussion. Because to me, it seems like the roadway pricing is a definite, what levels. It's kind of like, what do we put in under that? And I don't know if there's a way to sort of like just summarize kind of like what prompted some of the other ones for consideration.
Yeah, do any MPO staff have any response to that, and on how M18 plus L2 plus Q4 came together versus roadway pricing and the parking supply and the TOD study? Rebecca.
We were trying to find scenarios that would bring in like an option for 2 projects versus 3 versus 1. And when we went through the process, looking at the budgets, and if there were any projects that we could reduce slightly and still be able to accommodate 3. So we went through an assessment like that. And felt that the reason we put the parking supply and roadway pricing together was because of the partnership with MAPC, and felt that would be a strong one to move forward with too, and being able to accomplish more from, like, as Caitlin said, kind of quality as opposed to quantity. And so that was why we put those 2 together. We could shift things around. It's not that, I think we tried to put a few options together. We didn't want to have too many scenarios laid out before you, but if there's a desire to look at roadway pricing, TOD, and limited mobility, that is a possible scenario to consider. So that, I don't know if that was the question you were actually asking, but did I get to the question you were asking, or were you wondering how these specific studies became ones that were put forward in the first place?
It was more about how these specific studies came forward in the first place, but that may be going way far back in history, Rebecca. And I mean, so, but I think actually you've touched upon the thing, another thing I was really looking to get some clarity on. So I think you've addressed the question. It's fine.
Could I answer that? I think I can answer that in 30 seconds briefly, and we can always have a follow-up conversation, Travis, offline if you'd like to. So the impact of parking supply, that came out of the lab of municipal parking work, and I know that we had done a lot of work with MAPC on this as well, and it was one of the kind of outcomes of that study, where it was like understanding a bit more what the impacts of parking supply are on property values was something that was of interest, and a question that really hasn't been answered regionally. So that was where that study came from. The limited mobility study is one in which we're doing this year, but it's more kind of engagement around this question to understand what the needs are. And so initially, limited mobility was a larger budget study where we would do this data component. We end up reducing it for the current year to accommodate other studies. So we broke it into 2 phases and said, well, we're doing phase 1 now, which is much more on the research side to see what the needs are. Phase 2, we could get more at the data specific questions, data gap metrics. So that's where the limited mobility study came from. And then the TOD study was just one that, of course, like as an MPO, there's been a lot of conversations around this, and we felt that there was a need for the MPO to spend some time doing some research to understand how other MPOs are bringing this into their own programmatic work. And so that study came forward just through more of a need and trying to find a space to do some of this research.
That triggers the memory of what we discussed last week or last time, Rebecca. So thank you very much for that recap.
Okay, Caitlin.
Thank you. So, I realize a lot of work has gone into all of this. So first, I just want to say, thank you to everyone, and I recognize people come to these meetings with different approaches. One thing I guess I would just say is that, again, sort of for quality versus quantity, is if we whittle away at the scopes of these, what do we really get? In particular, when it comes, I think, to the roadway pricing, where, if you reduce it, to 75 or the 100,000, you'd really be coming away with a much less impactful study and something that's less, actionable a version of the study than otherwise. And so I guess, in terms of thinking through, this is, from a council's perspective, a really important topic. It's really timely, and it's, an important part of thinking through sort of the wide range of potential solutions to the transportation funding problem that we have. And so just thinking through, like, from an MPO perspective, this could be a robust analysis that really helps contribute to the conversation. So, I guess the question is, on all of these fronts, how much does the MPO want to actually, contribute to advancing this body of work? I know from our perspective, it is very timely, so we think it's important.
Thank you, Caitlin. Len.
Yes, I agree that it's important, and if I thought that people were waiting on the results of the study next year to make a big decision, in the next year or two, I'd be all for like 150K, all the way. I want to reframe the phrase quantity over quality, because when it's phrased that way, it's like, well, how could you possibly want to do something that has lower quality? We're going to get good data out of these studies, and it may, I think it's more a matter of depth, and how far down we want to drill, but we're going to get good data out, and to the extent we're going to continue doing work on it, then we'll build on that. And I think we're going to have a few years to build on this in order to get the state to the point where, it's going to do something. Although I'll say that's going to be more political will than anything else, and we can provide some data, but that's not going to be the deciding point as whether the state moves forward with roadway pricing. So I'm going to propose that we do a scenario 5, essentially, which has the roadway pricing at 90K, representing experience of limited mobility individuals at 25K, and opportunities for, or TOD, let's just say, at 35K. So if it requires a motion, I'll make the motion. If you're not ready to take a motion, Chair, then I'll wait until you are. I'm not trying to jump the gun or push things, but I will propose a 5th scenario. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Len. I think what I'll do first is it doesn't sound like there has been any support voiced for scenario 4, which is funding, using the entirety of the funding for the roadway pricing phase 2 study. I think that's pretty fair to say. It sounds like there will at least be some sort of combination of studies in each scenario, or in whatever scenario is ultimately put forward. So, Olivia, do you first want to take motions on scenarios 1 through 3, perhaps, before proposing a new one, or how do we proceed here?
Good question. I guess, I mean, what happened last year is kind of something similar to this. We kind of developed a new scenario, and it seemed like folks had supported that one, and we just took a vote on one scenario. So we could do that again. We could keep discussing the other ones if folks have other comments that they feel like they haven't voiced yet for another scenario or another study we haven't really talked more about. But I guess if folks feel like they support the new scenario 5 that we just mentioned, we could just ask for a motion. But maybe we could
The
leave it.
Len Diggins amendment, the Len Diggins amendment, is that what we're gonna call it?
If I may first, I do see Caitlin's hand, but I first want to call on MPO staff. I know we've already basically gotten at this, but how from a staff standpoint, how feasible is Len's scenario? That being M18 for 90,000, Q4 for 25,000, which is how it is written in scenario 2, and then L5 for 35,000, which is how it is priced in scenario 3. I guess what I'm asking is how pricing the roadway pricing study at 90,000 versus 100 versus 75. Is that something we can do? Rose.
Yeah, I'll just say that, I think there would be different staff likely managing each of these studies. And so I think regardless of the combination of them, we will have the staff capacity to deliver any of the scenarios that have been mentioned.
Okay. Okay. Not seeing any other staff who want to weigh in at this point. So, Caitlin.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess I would ask if, I would put forward a different scenario, scenario 5 that included either 125 for roadway pricing and 25K for the TOD, since my understanding from the response from Rebecca was the TOD was really kind of just a desk study and probably needs the least amount of work that could provide some additional funding to shore up the roadway pricing, or 115 and 35. So 115 for the roadway and 35 for TOD. I don't have all the specifics on that, but one of those two options for a new scenario 5, so that we are having a robust study coming out for roadway pricing and are using funds wisely for potentially a study that is a desk study that requires a less rigorous amount of analysis. So I just want to put that forward.
Thank you, Caitlin. Of course, that would, I just want to make sure that I summarize your thoughts together. You were saying roadway pricing at 115 or 125, and then TOD at 25 or 35, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Which of course would not include that scenario, would not include the impact parking supply study. That would also not include the limited mobility study. Tom O'Rourke.
Thank you. So I'm struck by the fact that we had L2 in 3 scenarios to begin with, and now we have 2 new scenarios that doesn't have it at all. And I kind of feel like of all the studies, that's one that may have the most impact, and be something that we can actually use the results of to, you know, when property owners are trying to develop property and they're being told they can't have all the parking they want, they can't get financing. And so if we have a study that proves that they can get financing and that the property values go up, if that's what it shows, is something that we can actually use, where I feel as some of these other programs or studies are good, but I don't know if they're as valuable as something like this.
Thank you, Tom. Tom Ben.
Yes, thanks. I agree with Tom O'Rourke on this. I know going through this, the L2 was, you know, like he said, it's in 3 of these scenarios. And I felt it was one of the most important ones also because, you know, what we're hearing is from the developers is that, you know, they would love to build maybe less parking, but the people that are financing these projects are looking at data that's telling them they need additional parking. So I think the more data that we can get out on this might help that situation. So, you know, I didn't know if it would make sense to do like a straw poll, a vote on the 4 scenarios that we have in front of us first, and then see if there's anything that could be eliminated. But right now, you know, I'd be looking at, you know, scenario 1 or scenario 3.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. I guess first, anybody else want to weigh in on L2, the parking study? Not seeing any. Jen Rowe, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this came up last year also, and I sort of was hoping that maybe it would be something, that there'd be some coordination with MAPC and the work on it could continue through that a different avenue, but it didn't happen last year. So yeah, it's hard to sort of yeah, I do think that this would be some valuable work. But that's also just not to say that the other studies are also not important. Uh, but yeah, I wonder, and I recognize that this is like specifically funding for MPO staff and not MAPC, but wonder if like there could be a conversation about some of those, whether that some of the PL funding that goes to MAPC could be used to kind of advance this body.
Thank you. Travis, anything to add to that from MAPC?
I will say that this type of parking study is not in our typical wheelhouse of what we do for parking. So I don't, you know, again, I'm coming in new to this. But what, you know, much of our parking work has been on whether what's been required for residential development is you know, meets what's the actual residential use, and then trying to, and where our work has been successful is looking at, you know, those usage for parking, and then finding ways that to work with our municipalities to often revise and often lower the parking requirements for multifamily residential, because that seems to be kind of like where there's just been a lot of requirements that are out of alignment as to what the need is. I guess this is something that's would be a different avenue for us if we did do it. It would be a new avenue, obviously, for, I guess, I'm assuming, for MPO staff as well. So I just want to know that it's not like we do parking studies. It's something we haven't done before, so this would be new. And I imagine like the first phase scope would be pretty limited. But I just wanted to, you know, say that I guess I don't know what the answer would be to that. That's why we're meeting tomorrow with Eric Barassa and I and others with the MPO staff about what we would do for parking. So can't really give a full answer as to whether or not we would just take this on if it wasn't included here. So we'd have to talk about that.
Understood. Thank you, Len.
That's helpful, Travis. Thank you. So I have a question for Tom. Is that you went for scenario 3 instead of 2, because my feelings are we do like the parking, supply. That kind of gets at development. As much as I like TOD, trust me, I really do like TOD. It's just that it's the experience of limited mobility that I feel strongly about, because it's not only an inclusivity thing for people who have limited mobility, but we've seen from just example of curb cuts people when we make the system more accessible for the people who have the biggest accessibility challenges, it tends to benefit all of us. It tends to benefit all of us when we really need it. And so I think almost every person who's pushed a stroller is happy for those curb cuts. And so I was just as you can see, I'm pushing for 2, but I'm wondering why you went for 3 instead of 2, because I respect you, Tom, and everybody else here.
Len, basically all 4 of these scenarios, we're always in the same place that we are every year. We never have enough money to do what we really want. So I was just, picking the 2 that kind of struck out with me, because I do know, and I'm looking at, it's like going between Q4 and L5. It's a tough one. They're both really good scenario, part of the scenario. So. You could convince me between 2 and 3, to be honest with you. But talking with what we have done in Somerville, and I think a lot of the intercore communities, a lot of has been done for, persons with limited mobility. I know, like in Somerville, every project that we have, the sidewalks, they're cut for mobility, and they've been widened out and all that. So it was just picking one over the other, to be honest with you. And this seems to be where we end up every year, we love all the items that we have in front of us, and at the end of the day, we only have 150,000, and we have to pick something. But just to kind of get through, this, because I'm not sure, Sam, if you need if a vote on this today. So I was just trying to help move it along, but you could convince me to go to 2 also on these. It's a tough choice either way.
Thanks, Tom. I agree with you, Tom. These studies are all worthy, but unfortunately, we have a finite budget. Rebecca.
Thanks, Sam. Just was thinking about this as this conversation has been happening around, is there any other way we could do any of these studies with other funding? And the one thing that does come to mind is for the limited mobility study that's right now at 25,000. We could talk about trying to advance that effort under the data program, which is a program that the MPO funds each year. Part of that program, we assess new data sets. And so that could be a space where we could say we really want to see this one advance. We need to make a decision on, which scenario to move forward. Can we, move forward the limited mobility work on the data side through one of our programs? I would say that's the one that I could see fitting best with our programmatic work as it currently exists and how it's currently scoped. So something to consider here if we're trying to pick between scenario 2 and 3.
Thank you, Rebecca. Tom.
Well, given Rebecca's comments, I would say if we were to do L5, it would probably tell us to do L2. That would be how we could support transit-oriented development. So in that case, I would support scenario 1.
Thank you, Tom. Any other commentary on scenario 1 versus scenario 3?
Rachel from Rentham. So
yes.
in L5, as I'm looking through the discrete studies, it is attaching it to the MBTA Communities Act And while, yes, that is TOD, it's not TOD like Boston TOD, where I can walk and get a subway or a bus or a commuter rail. You know, you've got to drive to these places too. So, you know, like in Sherburne, there's no train station nearby. You know, they've got to drive to these places too. So, you know, like I will just say that the L5 is sort of more tied to the MBTA Communities Act. And it's, well, yes, most of them are, you know, traditional TOD. A lot of them, again, in the swap area and other, you know, regions like mine, they aren't close to those types of things. So, you know, it might not have the impact of parking on property values. It may not be the same for out here as it is. But are there opportunities for, you know, to find out opportunities for the MPO to sort of advance in those locations? More of these, you know, like GATRA is the closest one, I think, to us, and a Tri-County bus type of a thing. So I don't know, that's how I'm coming at it is I've seen, as a planner, I have seen a lot of, when I have tried to promote reduction in parking, I do see a lot of studies on the impact of parking supply. Like, it's okay, guys, you're not going to lose your property value. It'll be fine. You know, and some developers are more, you know, savvy at designing that and are on board with it. Some, you know, are old school and don't. So anyway, those are my 2 cents.
Thank you, Len.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Becca, because I think it does get us to a point where we are supporting a broader area, wider area of the MPO, and given Rebecca's response, about Q4, that's encouraging, and so I could very easily support scenario 3, and I tell you, I think we get a lot of benefit, from doing, more studies. I understand that we can't do 4. I mean, I hear where Tame's coming from about the overhead, and as we found out in the AFF committee, subcommittee meets around 20%, maybe higher for studies or whatever, but I think we benefit better, more from having, 3 studies, and we can keep the conversation on M18 going for any number of years. Hopefully, it won't be that long before we, transition to something with roadway pricing. But I think we have time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Caitlin?
I don't know if it's worth just reiterating my position, but I would beg to differ that we don't necessarily have time, that we are facing a fiscal cliff. We are facing transportation Commonwealth-wide funding issues, and that I just came back from a study tour in New York City around congestion pricing, and we need folks like the MPO to be leading the conversation on this. In absence of it, we may not of the robust analysis that we need in order to help move any conversation forward, whether it be a feasible option for us or not, but we need the answers to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. We are at 2:06. We are scheduled to go to 2:30, leaving a few minutes for member items and things. While there have been some alternate scenarios voiced, what I'm hearing, unless anybody would like to strongly weigh in here, is that scenario 1 and scenario 3, given what we've heard from board members and staff, sound like the most palatable to folks and realistic at being both carried out and being voted on today. How would we feel about advancing, taking a temperature on a scenario 1 and a scenario 3, and perhaps putting one of those 2 scenarios forward?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay. That said, also want to, with all that said, want to, should we not reach a majority on either of those, then perhaps we take a vote on one of the alternate scenarios that were brought forward a little while ago. So, is there anyone who would like to make a motion for any of these scenarios? I believe I saw Tom and then Len and then Caitlin. So, Tom.
You muted, Tom.
Mute. It's only taken me 6 years to figure that out. I would make a motion to support scenario 1.
Would anybody like to second that motion?
Second.
And who is that?
It was Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Thank you. Motion has been seconded. Olivia, please take the roll.
Okay. Starting with Sam Taylor.
Sam Taylor, no.
Jen Martin.
Jen Martin, no.
Tom Bent.
Tom Bent, no.
Travis Pollock.
Travis Pollock, no.
Caitlin Allen Conley.
Caitlin Allen Conley, yes.
Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Jen Rowe.
Jen Rowe, no.
And Rachel Benson.
Rachel Benson, no.
And Len Diggins.
Leonard Diggins, no.
So that does not pass.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that one forward, though. Would anyone like to either comment before we put forward another scenario? Tom Bent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to put forward a motion, but
okay.
I can wait.
Len,
Yep.
okay.
So,
Len, I see your hand too.
Sure. And I'll make a comment because I'm enjoying like the back and forth, on this. Because it's the Leonard Diggins from 5-10 years ago. We would have a hard time believing that Leonard Diggins is not arguing for 150K roadway pricing study now. Okay, and as you all know, I have my vision for how we can fund the transportation network. And I understand, that we're in bad shape. And if I really thought that 150K study now is going to make the difference, in building the political will to do it. As I said, I could say, let's do it. But I just don't think this study is going to be the threshold. And I think we'll get enough information out of it, that for those who want to support it, they'll have the information there. And as we have been told, this is not going to be the end of the road on this. And if something does catch fire, let's hope that MassDOT and OPM comes to the rescue and says, hey, we're going to fund a study at $1 million. So I hear you, Caitlin, and so I do want to see us do more on roadway pricing, but I think doing 3 studies, and these 3 in particular, especially since we can support the limited mobility, with the program, is my preferred way to go. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Tom Bent.
That's all right. I'll put forward a motion for a scenario 3.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Rachel Benson will second.
Thank you, Rachel. Olivia, please call the roll.
Okay, starting with Sam Taylor.
Sam Taylor, no.
Jen Martin.
Jen Martin, yes.
Tom Bent.
Tom Bent, yes.
Travis Pollock.
Travis Pollock, yes.
Caitlin Allen Conley.
Caitlin Allen Conley, no.
Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Jen Rowe.
Jen Rowe, yes.
Rachel Benson,
Rachel Benson, yes.
and Len Dickens.
Len Dickens, yes.
Okay, so scenario 3 is approved.
Thank you, Olivia. So yeah, sounds like scenario 3 has been approved by this board, or by this committee rather.
I have a burning question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Len.
What did you want? I was surprised when you voted no. So it's like, what did you want? So do you mind telling us?
He's being
I'll tell you-
politically correct. He's being
I'll
politically
tell
correct.
you offline, Len. How's
Okay,
that?
all right, fine. Okay, okay, never mind. If you're just being PC, fine, I got it. Okay, I get it. I'm a little dense that time. Okay, I get it. Never mind. Okay, it was an intellectual question, so okay, fine. I
Well, I will
apologize.
say, I don't think there are any bad submissions on here. So,
Sorry.
thank you. All right. Well, we have a scenario, which is scenario 3, which is M18 at 75,000, L2 at 40,000, and L5 at 35,000. So Olivia, if you think we can move on to the next agenda item, then we will, unless there are any other hands at this time.
Yeah, I actually have a few next steps just to kind of wrap up this conversation. So before we go on to members' items, so if we could just go to the next slide. And just to clarify, the wording can sometimes be easy to misconstrue, but this vote was to recommend scenario 3, and really the full board approves the scenario when we take a vote on the full UPWP. So just to clarify the process for things. So essentially what will happen next is that we will develop some more detailed descriptions of studies M18, L2, and L5, and they will be included in chapter 4 of our draft FFY 2027 UPWP that we're working on. And essentially this was kind of the last piece of information that we needed to work on and complete the draft document. So the next time we meet as a committee will be in April, and we'll be reviewing the full draft document. So I just wanted to thank everyone for your thoughts today, and also for coming to the committee meetings that we've had over the past few months, providing your input on our work and studies. And we're excited to put together the document and have it ready for you to review before that meeting in April. So that's just kind of a line of sight as to what will happen next. Thanks.
Thank you, Olivia. Jen Rowe.
I just wanted to thank staff for facilitating this conversation. I know, we was at the beginning. I didn't know we were going to get to a decision, so I think you got us there. And I think the conversation itself has been really illuminating of how important all of these bodies of work are, and I hope we do find ways to advance everything. So, thank you.
Thank you.
+1 to that, Caitlin.
Okay. Believe we can move on to the next agenda item, which is members' items. Do any members have any announcements or anything else they'd like to share with the committee? Seeing none. Next meeting, Olivia?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we'll be meeting next on April 30th at our normal time to review the draft UPWP. And I will be sending out a calendar hold shortly. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you all today for your participation. Both staff and committee members are much appreciated. So thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion. And I want to thank staff and everyone for this conversation today. Great work.
I'll second the motion. Good job, Sam. First outing leading UTWP.
Thank you both. And with that, we are adjourned.